Welcome to Shadowproof. Evidence first, noise last.
In Western countries, there is a prophetic book, claimed to be the most widely read prophetic book in the world. Carefully estimated, it has sold 4 billion copies today. Many topics such as Revelation, the end times, and the final judgment all come from this book. I believe everyone has guessed it, it is the Bible. Today, we will talk about the prophecies in the Bible. Generally, a Bible can be divided based on the birth of Jesus as a point of separation. Divided into the New Testament and the Old Testament. Many religions, large and small, around the world read the Bible, but their versions differ. Taking Catholicism, Protestantism, and Eastern Orthodoxy for comparison, the content and number of chapters in their New Testament are exactly the same, totaling 27 chapters. However, in the Old Testament, the Eastern Orthodox Old Testament has 50 chapters. The Protestant Old Testament has 39 chapters, and the Catholic Old Testament has 46 chapters. The difference in chapters is because Protestantism and Catholicism removed some content from the Eastern Orthodox Old Testament, considering it apocryphal and entirely literary forgeries. But the content of the similar chapters is basically the same. The main content of the Old Testament is how the world was created, the origin of human development, and the prophecy that Jesus Christ will return to the world. The New Testament records the deeds of Jesus Christ, the development of the church in the early common era, and revelations for future generations. The process of compiling this Bible itself is also very long. The book of Genesis in the Old Testament is the earliest written, around 5,500 years before the Common Era. The book of Revelation in the New Testament is the last, written around 90 CE. In other words, the compilation of the Bible spanned a total of 1,600 years, with over 40 authors. They all lived in different eras and countries, such as Palestine, Babylon, Greece, and Rome. These authors spoke different languages, including Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. These over 40 authors had different cultural levels and professions, including kings, prophets, priests, fishermen, and doctors. But miraculously, over 1,600 years, with so many diverse authors compiling it, the chapters of the Bible are astonishingly consistent. Therefore, many people believe that these over 40 authors merely received divine revelation and recorded what God intended to express. In the Encyclopedia of Biblical Prophecies, Dr. Bernard Ram compiled statistics on all prophecies in the Bible. In the entire Bible, there are 31,124 verses, of which 8,352 are prophetic, accounting for 27%. There are 737 independent prophetic events mentioned in the Bible. According to what he said, over 500 events have been fulfilled, and 63% of the content in the book of Revelation is prophetic. Because the book of Revelation, true to its name, is a warning for the future world. In the book of Revelation, there is also a warning that if anyone alters, adds to, or removes the prophecies in it, God will surely bring plagues upon that person. Next, I will share with you some typical prophecies that have come true. The most famous is undoubtedly the destruction and restoration of Israel. Israel was founded in 2020 BCE and split into two nations, southern Judah and northern Israel, in 931 BCE. The two northern and southern nations were destroyed by the Assyrian Empire and the Babylonian Empire in 722 BCE and 586 BCE, respectively, and fell under the brutal rule of Rome. At this time, Jesus descended to save the world, but the Israelites not only did not accept his salvation but instead crucified Jesus on the cross. Let his blood be on us and on our children. Following that, we see the scene of the Jews being exiled, persecuted, and repeatedly massacred. In the 7th century CE, Islamic forces continued to expand. A large number of Jews were killed for refusing to convert to Islam. By the 14th century, a Black Death ravaged Europe, killing tens of thousands. Europeans believed the plague was brought by the Jews, leading to another massacre of Jews. Later, during World War II, Hitler launched a genocide campaign that shocked the world. He believed Jews were the lowest race and needed to be eradicated. However, the Bible also prophesied the restoration of Israel. The book of Ezekiel in the Old Testament records the visions Ezekiel saw, including the words, I will take the Israelites out of the nations where they have gone and gather them from all around, leading them back to their homeland. Historically, after World War I broke out, the British Jew Chaim Weizmann invented a new type of smokeless gunpowder, helping Britain turn defeat into victory in the war. To reward Weizmann's contribution, in November 1917, the British government issued a famous Balfour Declaration, promising to help Jews in Palestine restore their nation. From then on, a large number of Jews gradually returned to Palestine, and their conflicts with local Arabs became increasingly apparent. Finally, in 1947, the United Nations voted to partition Palestine into two states, one for Jews and one for Arabs. On May 14, 1948, Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion declared independence of the Tel Aviv Museum, and Israel was finally restored as a nation. The restoration of Israel can be said to be a miracle in history. Why is that? Some demographers have statistically shown that no matter which country or ethnicity, once a nation has been destroyed for 500 years, it is very difficult to restore. 500 years is equivalent to 20 generations. Generally speaking, when migrating overseas nowadays by the third or fourth generation, people are already assimilated by the nation. However, Israel, which was destroyed for nearly 2,000 years, was able to be restored, which is, besides the restoration of Israel, the Bible also prophesied the emergence of health laws. In the book of Leviticus, there is a scripture. A person healed of a discharge must cleanse themselves for 7 days, wash their clothes first, and bathe in running water to be clean. Until the 19th century, discharges were often a type of gynecological disease, and people still used basins for washing hands and buckets for bathing, since it wasn't running tap water. After World War II ended in 1948, the World Health Organization was established. Subsequently, a series of international conventions and agreements emerged, leading to the rapid development. In the current era of infectious diseases, using tap water to wash hands has become a basic rule, and when women suffer from gynecological infections and go to the hospital for examination, the first thing the doctor might advise is not to have intercourse for 7 days. Additionally, the Bible prophesied the emergence of quarantine measures. In the book of Leviticus, there is another scripture. As long as the disease is on a person, they are unclean. Being unclean, they must live outside the camp. Until the Black Death in the 14th century, people had no concept of quarantine at all. The sick and their healthy family members still ate and lived together. People attributed the cause of illness to evil spirits or bad air. In fact, the Bible mentioned it long ago. The most important measure against infectious diseases is quarantine. The Bible also prophesied the appearance of Babylon, airplanes, trains, earthquakes, plagues, and nuclear weapons. Here, I won't give examples for each. These are some prophecies described in the Bible, although the wording can be a bit obscure. There is another type of prophecy in the Bible, hidden between the lines, called the Bible code. As early as the 14th century, a devout Jewish believer, Rapa Nibachaya, carried a Bible with him wherever he went. One day while bathing, inspiration struck. He quickly dressed and took out the Hebrew Bible he often read. He discovered a strange code phenomenon in the 5 books of Moses. If every 7th letter is taken, the word Torah appears repeatedly. And Torah is another name for the 5 books of Moses. Jewish believers called this code phenomenon equidistant letter sequences. This sparked a wave of decoding the Bible code. Among the scientists passionate about studying it, the most famous is Newton. Newton's contributions to science are well known, but his great scientist identity overshadowed his achievements in theology. After Newton's death, when later generations sorted through his manuscripts, they were surprised to find over 60% related to theology. This included religion, astrology, and his in-depth studies of the Bible. Just a religious text but contained hidden records of human civilization. The entire fate of future generations is recorded in the Bible. Newton's handwritten manuscripts show he used complex calculations to decode the Bible code, and one unexpectedly noted the year 2060. Therefore, many speculate that Newton might have calculated the end of the world to occur in 2060. In the 1980s, Eliyahu Retz, a mathematician at Hebrew University in Israel, and Doron Witzham, a physicist, input the entire Bible into a computer. Remove all spaces, punctuation, and symbols, leaving only letters, then use the computer to extract alternative code reading forms. Searching for important information like names and locations in letter sequences. The results were astonishing. S creation to now, 32 individuals. In August 1994, Eliyahu Retz and Doran Wisdom published their findings in a statistical science journal. During this time, they invited mathematicians from Yale, Harvard, and Hebrew University to verify. The conclusion was that the probability of the Bible code being a coincidence is only 1 in 2.5 billion. Here are some decoded Bible codes. For example, Newton and gravity are written together. Edison corresponds to electricity and light bulbs. The moon landing corresponds to Apollo 13 spacecraft. President Kennedy corresponds to death in Dallas. The Holocaust corresponds to Nazi Germany, the enemy. The paper by Professors Rips and Wisdom caused a huge stir in academia and also drew much opposition. Opponents argued that Hebrew name spellings are very flexible, with many possible variations for the same name. Secondly, the entire Hebrew Bible has over 300,000 letters, capable of generating at least 10 billion letter combinations. The so-called Bible code is merely a form of apophenia. The Bible code. Notably, Michael Drosnin had no religious beliefs. He believed the Bible code referred to possible future events. Prophecy does not necessarily come true. For example, Drosnin found in the Bible a prophecy of possible nuclear war from September 1995 to September 1996. But in reality, in September 1996, the UN General Assembly adopted the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. However, among the 44 countries listed in the treaty's annex, some have not yet ratified it. Therefore, the treaty has not yet met the conditions for effectiveness. In other words, Drosnin believes that whether the prophecies in the secret code of the Bible come true or not all depends on how humans act. But to put it another way, people might feel that only talking about things that have already happened is just hindsight. As for the future of humanity, what kind of prophecies has the Bible given? In the book of Revelation in the New Testament of the Bible, one thing is repeated, which is the mark of the beast 666 during the apocalypse. The book of Revelation says that in the end times, the world will gradually divide into two major groups. One group receives the seal of God, while the remaining group, who worships the beast and its image, will receive the mark of the beast, marking that this group has been assimilated by the devil, and those who receive the mark of the beast will ultimately die in the lake of fire. Many people believe that the mark of the beast mentioned in the book of Revelation might be today's human body chips. Regarding companies researching human body chips, we have discussed them before and won't go into detail here. The purposes of human body chips are diverse, but currently, they are mainly used for medical treatment. For example, monitoring certain health indicators and vital signs. However, it's imaginable that in the future, with technological development, the uses of human body chips will certainly expand greatly, not to mention the relatively mysterious exchange of consciousness. Using body chips for identification, banking transactions, or shopping is entirely feasible. Nowadays, when going out, we hardly need to use cash anymore, but we still need phones for payments. However, in the near future, if a chip contains all identification, banking, and credit information, then taking a bus to the hospital for a checkup, paying utility bills, or traveling abroad for shopping can all be done with a chip. Suppose in the future, everyone has a chip implanted, then those without one might find it hard to do anything. Conversely, if the chip is lost or the data is stolen, it could be a disaster for our lives. The Bible prophesies that after Israel is restored, the next events are the Armageddon War and God's final judgment. And the great Armageddon on earth will center around Israel. The book of Revelation describes a global battle, the Battle of Armageddon. Revelation says that in this final battle, a Savior will appear to calm everything down, followed by God's judgment of humanity. After the judgment, God will lead his people into a new world. However, the Bible does not specify in what form this battle will occur. Some believe it could be a nuclear war. Others say it might be a battle between humans and artificial intelligence. But one thing is certain, in this battle, people worldwide will unite to fight. If this is truly a war between humans and artificial intelligence, or between humans and aliens, then implanting chips in humans might be a preparatory scenario before the war. Elon Musk himself has always been a strong supporter of the theory that artificial intelligence can Elon Musk believes that only by embracing AI can we become stronger. Actually, whether to implant a chip or not is not the most important. The most important thing is whether humans will lose creativity, flexibility, and imagination due to reliance on technology, thereby leading to the final step of being destroyed by technology or not. Previously, I shared many prophecies with everyone, such as the Xiao Bing Jie, Hui Bei Du, or the Jin. They all have one similarity. Over thousands of years of transmission by later generations, they have undergone alteration, so the original versions no longer exist. The accuracy of the words has diminished. But the prophecies of the Bible are different. A discovery in 1947 proved that the Bible, passed down for thousands of years, has hardly been altered in content. One evening in 1947, 3 Bedouin youths were herding goats in the mountains near the Dead Sea in the Qumran area. As it grew dark, the 3 youths quickly drove the herd home. At that time, a youth named Kali noticed one goat was missing from his herd. "You go ahead. I have to find the lost goat." While searching around, he discovered a dark cave. Kali threw a stone into the cave, thinking that if the goat was inside, it would surely be scared by the stone and run out. But no goat was found. Kali heard the sound of a broken jar. In that instant, Kali thought he had found some hidden treasure. The next day, he found the 2 friends who had herded goats with him the day before and went into the cave together. In the cave, along the rock wall, there were some clay pots and some broken jars. 3 people began searching through each shallow earthen jar, trying to find gold. However, in the end, they only found some cloth wrappings inside. Opening the cloth wrappings, they found some very old manuscripts inside. For Kali and the others, these manuscripts were probably not as practical as daily necessities from the market. The 3 sold these manuscripts to some local antique dealers. Eventually, the manuscripts ended up in the hands of archaeologists. O'Brien was extremely surprised to discover that these scrolls dated from over 100 years BC, making them the oldest biblical manuscripts ever known. The incident quickly caused a sensation throughout the archaeological. Israel sealed off the area where the manuscripts were discovered and sent archaeologists to investigate. The result was an astonishing sight. Many caves in the Qumran area contained stored scriptures. After archaeological excavation, a total of over 900 ancient handwritten biblical scrolls were finally discovered, and the content of these ancient scrolls was almost identical to the biblical content passed down to this day. Since the Qumran mountain area is near the Dead Sea, these ancient scrolls were later named the Dead Sea Scrolls and are considered the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century. Previous biblical content was based on the verification of Jewish Masoretic scholars from around the 6th to 9th centuries. Regarding the original version of the previous Bible, there were no preserved documents, so it was impossible to know. And the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls pushed back the date of the earliest biblical version from the 6th century to the 2nd century BC. Most importantly, the Dead Sea Scrolls predate the birth of Jesus Christ. And the Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls recorded the impending birth of Jesus. This made more people believe in the prophetic nature of the Bible, considering it to be revelations left by deities for humanity. However, why would deities need to do this? Perhaps as the Ronald said, humanity's future script has already been written. As future destiny develops according to the predetermined script depends on our actions based on each person. Thank you for watching. If you'd like, you can subscribe to watch the next videos. Or if you have time, you can watch more videos from this channel.
If the proof convinced you, subscribe and open the next case.